why I believe the Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South this year. A lot of you Falcons fans and Saints fans are going to get really upset with this, but I think that Carolina is going to end up being NFC South champions this year. They got the best coaching staff in this division. Frank Reich has been able to get a team to the postseason based on his track record. This dude is also really good at being able to get efficient and effective play out of his quarterbacks. When he was the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, he was able to have Jacoby Brissett playing at a pretty serviceable level when Andrew Luck abruptly retired right before the season. Then he was able to squeeze the remaining juice that Phillip Rivers had left in the tank. They went to the postseason that year. And then, despite the fact that they traded Carson Wentz had the most efficient season of his career under Frank Reich's tutelage, throwing 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So Bryce Young is going to be in phenomenal hands with Frank Reich being his head coach. They also have defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, who was the DC for the Denver Broncos last year. His defense was the only thing watchable about the Denver Broncos, and the only reason why they were able to hang in some of the games that were actually close that they played in last year. He's one of the best up-and-coming defensive minds in the game, and he also got a couple of head coaching interviews, man. This is a fantastic staff that Frank Reich has assembled down there in Charlotte, Carolina. And you look at the team that Carolina has going into this year. I keep hearing a lot of Saints and Falcons fans saying, man, JT, the Panthers don't have a good team. Offensively, you have a really good offensive line. This offensive line was 11th in sacks per game allowed, and they were really good when it came to run blocking last year. Carolina's run game was amongst the best in the NFL during the second half of last year under Steve Wilkes. Now, I know that their wide receiving core doesn't really scare anybody. You got old man Adam Thielen, who definitely is starting to regress and lose a step, but I definitely think he can be a really good mentor for guys like Jonathan Mingo and Terrence Marshall, and I still think that he can play at a serviceable level. I think that he will be a pretty good target for Bryce Young. You got Terrence Marshall, who without a doubt should be in for a breakout season. This dude was a monster during his time at LSU, and even the last couple of years that he's been in the league, he hasn't been bad. It's just that he just needs more opportunities. I love me some Jonathan Mingo coming out of Ole Miss. A lot of people compared this man to A.J. Brown. Steve Smith recommended that the Carolina Panthers draft Jonathan Mingo. He thought that he was one of the best receivers coming out of this past year's draft class. And then you sign Miles Sanders in free agency. This offense has more than enough to win this division. It's not like this division is just loaded with teams that are just stacked on offense. The Carolina Panthers have Frank Reich their head coach. All he has to be able to do is be a better head coach than Arthur Smith, Dennis Allen, and Todd Bowles. That shouldn't be hard to do. None of those coaches have been able to get their teams to the postseason in the past, and they have losing records as head coaches. Frank Reich has the best coaching staff in this division. He's the best head coach in this division, and that's why I strongly believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to be able to win this division. On defense, you got J.C. Horn. When he gets back healthy, he was one of the best cornerbacks in the league last year. I believe he only gave up 1 touchdown. He was a top 10 cornerback in 2022 last year. You got Brian Burns. You got another really talented defensive back in the secondary. And Jeremy Chin, who is like a hybrid safety. He's going to be playing all over that defense for Carolina this year. This is a really talented defense that the Carolina Panthers are going to have going into this season. And with Ejiro Evero as their defensive coordinator, this should be a top 10 defense this season, man. The Carolina Panthers, I think, are being a little bit overlooked in this division because they got Bryce Young, and a lot of people are really underrating their roster. This division doesn't have any good head coaches. I think that Arthur Smith is really promising. I like him way more than I like Dennis Allen and Todd Bowles. But if I had to put my money today on who I thought was going to win the NFC South, it would be the Carolina Panthers, man. And I'm a little surprised that a lot of people are so high on the New Orleans Saints when they have Dennis Allen as their head coach, man. Saints fans wanted this man fired week 10 of last year. They were making positions to get this man fired. Do you really believe that Derek Carr is going to be enough to get the Saints over the hump? Derek Carr could have a solid season, but that still might not be good enough for the Saints to be able to get to the postseason or win this division, man. Dennis Allen has not proven to be able to lead a team to a winning record, let alone a divisional title. I'd rather put my faith in Frank Reich, somebody who's proven to be able to get a team to the postseason, versus putting my faith in Arthur Smith or Dennis Allen. And Todd Bowles, come on, man. Even Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans expect this team to be bad. Now, if Tampa Bay comes out and they surprise us, they're going to be one of the biggest surprises in the last couple of years. Because many people expect Tampa Bay to be jostling with the Arizona Cardinals for the right to draft Caleb Williams #1 overall. And for the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, they got some nice pieces on offense. I love Bijan Robinson. I love Kyle Pitts. I love Drake London. But I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder. And all they really need is for Desmond Ridder to play at a solid level. And they could be a playoff team. Now, I'm not saying that the Atlanta Falcons are going to miss the playoffs. It's just that I don't think they're going to win the division. Normally, the teams that win their divisions are the teams that are the most well coached. And I think that Carolina is going to be better coached than the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints this year. Dennis Allen, this dude is way too conservative with how he manages the game. His offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, who spent years under Sean Payton, just seemed to forget how to call plays last year. I don't think New Orleans is going to go anywhere this year. I think they're going to be a giant disappointment. I don't know why people keep overlooking the fact that everywhere that Dennis Allen has been a head coach, he's had a losing record. The New Orleans Saints were supposed to be a playoff team last year. I don't care about injuries, man. Teams deal with injuries all the time. New Orleans should have been way better last year than what they were. Sean Payton went 9-8 with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Ian Book, and Trevor Siemian. And had his best receiver that year being Marquez Callaway. I like the Carolina Panthers to win the NFC South this year, man. They are the only team in this division who I have confidence in at being able to make it to the playoffs. Now, I'm not counting out the Atlanta Falcons. It's just that I got to see how that defense looks, and I don't really think that the signings that the Falcons made are going to improve that defense all that much. You traded for Jeff Okudah. I mean, he has upside. He had a really strong first half of the season for Detroit last year, but I don't know how he's going to look this year. And plus, they got a defensive coordinator who's never called plays before. Yeah, he had a big role in the New Orleans Saints pass rush being as good as what it was. But we don't know if that's going to translate to success calling the plays. The Carolina Panthers are my pick to win this division in 2023. I think Bryce Young is going to have a really good rookie season. There are people who keep saying, JT, Bryce Young is going to struggle. I don't think Bryce Young is going to have too many struggles. Every rookie QB has their ups and downs. I think Frank Reich getting Bryce Young was the best pairing for the two. Bryce Young, what was praised about him the most coming out of Alabama was his ability, the process, and read defenses. Frank Reich is going to have Bryce Young balling at a really high level this year, and I expect him to be in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. The Carolina Panthers damn near won this division last year with an interim head coach in Steve Wilkes. So they can come close to winning this division last season with an interim head coach. I expect this team to be able to win this division in 2023. I think they have the best coaching staff in this division. I don't think they have a more talented team than the New Orleans Saints, but I do think they have the second most talented team in this division. And like I said, the Saints, they're not going to be that great this year because of Dennis Allen. Now, if Dennis Allen surprises us and they put it all together, then New Orleans most definitely can win the NFC South. But I really think that the Panthers are going to win this division, man. Best coaching staff, really talented roster, a great up-and-coming defensive coordinator that had a lot of success with the Denver Broncos last season. The Panthers are my pick to win the NFC South in 2023.